Thanks a lot. Thank you for having me here. It means a lot because I'm new to the company and I've been here only for several months, and I'm really happy I can join you here on Agile Spot. So thank you for inviting me. Um, and we'll be starting shortly. All right. The presentation today is sort of how programmers inspired music industry, and by that I mean how programming or working in the IT industry inspired me at the beginning, because well, you might know me now as Scrum Master and Riders of Bistream requirement area for Awesome and Horizon teams. But in the past, well, I still am a musician, and in the past, I have been actively in the music business, music industry. Apart from being a musician, which you can see on this photo, so it's obviously true. I have also been a manager for the band in which I play, and I have been lots of things in this band. And I also run a foundation which is dealing with music education. I've done that for almost 13 years, I think, and not music education in terms of teaching the music, but teaching the music business. So there's lots of stuff about management there as well. And this is where I started noticing that IT sort of relates to music. There are many similarities in terms of how you manage things and how you work in those industries. And I would like to tell you a story how those tools you use in IT inspired me and perhaps other musicians, even if unknowingly. And perhaps how can we use some stories from the music business to inspire the IT industry here in Motorola, inspire the programmers. We'll see how that works. Hopefully, by the end of the presentation, you will find some new ideas and inspirations. So my question is, what's agility? Of course, there's a buzzword agile, which you probably have heard too many times, and especially if you're a programmer, probably quite tired with this expression. I know my product owner is pretty much tired of agile. So I would like to go to the basics, the very root of agility, and I would like to show you this. It's probably not something that you imagined you will be seeing here, but this is my childhood hero, Jackie Chan, starring in many movies. Thank you, Vitek, for acknowledging it. Thank you, Magdalena. I can see that you recognize the guy. So pay attention to what he's doing. He's chasing his opponents, or he's running away from his opponents. It varies a little bit. But what he's doing is never planning ahead. All the situations unravel quite rapidly in whatever movie that he's in. He cannot predict much, but he's adapting to the environment on the go. He's very fast, very reactive, very agile. Amazing, isn't it? Yeah, there's no stairs here. It doesn't matter. I can walk up anyway. That's Jackie Chan, obviously. And beautiful. We have a technical problem, which is very bad, because this is the picture I wanted to show you very much. This is I will try to do it anyway. Not working. Yeah, that's the picture. You saw just a glimpse of it. I have to adapt to a situation and tell you what's on the picture. So basically, there's a bunch of programmers there, and contrary to what you might think, it is not the business people who came up with the term agile. It's not managers, it's not company owners, it's not the banksters or anyone like that. It's not business coaches. The term agile was coined by programmers, and although they look quite different to Jackie Chan, and they're not as agile in the physical sense. Their idea was to make the IT industry agile. The idea was to make it reactive. The idea was to make it more humane in the sense that instead of sticking to the too many rules, let's talk to each other and be fast, responsive, and use it to gain advantage. And first of all, it's all about the valuable software. It's not about following plans. It's not about doing whatever managers or CEOs want you to do. It's about producing valuable software. So that was quite a change, and it's obviously a trend on the IT market that we're still trying to follow, but the implementations may vary. So I wonder what's the implementation in IT industry. I will tell you about the implementation in music industry. So what makes me think that agile works in music industry? There's this Kinevin model, which you probably have seen or might not have seen, but it's a short read on Wikipedia and it's quite interesting. So I encourage you to read about it a little bit. It's basically about dividing the domain into four quadrants. One of the quadrants says complicated. Sorry for the Polish picture. I don't know why I got it. Why I got it here, but hopefully I will translate for you. So that's complicated. That's simple. That's complex, and that's chaotic. Let's see the simple one. The simple one is where there are direct correlations between what you do and what you get. Basically, there's always a simple way of coming up with things, like a sandwich. If you have a recipe for a sandwich, if you follow the steps, you'll get a sandwich. No surprises here. There is a complicated domain where things look quite similar. You have a recipe, but it's not a simple recipe. It's something that needs expertise, that needs experts. So you still have steps to follow, but the steps can get quite complicated. They might need calculations, knowledge, etc. Like bridge building. It's easy to build a bridge, but it requires lots of expertise. And there's the chaotic domain, which there's no correlation between what you do and what you get. These events include accidents. Like you have to act, but you never can predict what you get. You have to act first and then perhaps think later. And there's this complex domain in which people use the example of IT industry as the best example of the complex domain. But I would argue music is here as well. Let me show you what I mean. You've probably seen some movies about music stars, like, I don't know, Freddie, or The Star is Born, or the guy and the drummer in Whiplash. Quite a good movie, by the way. While watching those movies, or I don't know, reading biographies, you can come to a conclusion that you know, those people were destined to make it big. They were destined to succeed. If you read a book like that, you just think, yeah, it's, you know, it's quite easy. Let's follow their steps, and we'll be great, just like they were. And there is obviously a problem with that, because there is no recipe for a success. I mean, it's not enough to follow someone's steps and to do the exactly same things. It's not even possible. Everything changes. The steps don't guarantee you to become successful. There's no recipe for success. Even the smartest people in the industry cannot predict if someone's successful or not. Take this guy, for example, Dick Rowe, and he's a big fish. He was a big fish in the industry in 1960s. And this is the famous quotation of his that he was talking about the Beatles. Guitar groups are on their way out. The Beatles have no future in show business. He might have been wrong. So it is impossible to predict success in music industry. The only solution is to experiment, to observe the results of the experiment, and to adapt. And that might sound familiar for you IT guys, doesn't it? And there's plenty more things that are similar between music and the IT. There is lots of creativity and innovation. There's technology. Music is very much dependent on technology. You wouldn't think to what extent, but imagine that how cassettes or vinyls or the CDs affected the music. Before the vinyl, the music was could be lengthy as much as you wanted. When the vinyls came in, the singles had to be under 3 minutes. And it wasn't because the short attention span of the audience, it was because of the vinyl. It only could contain up to 3 minutes or 2 minutes and a half. I don't remember exactly, but it was very limited in terms of capacity. And this is why we have the single format, which lasts optimally around 3 minutes. And this is just one of the many examples. Obviously, we have quickly changing trends, both in IT and in music. Both musicians and actually programmers need some sort of an audience, some sort of a user that actually uses the application. Obviously, both IT and music have something to do with business. Both are product-based, both involve clever people, both involve team collaboration. You might think that a solo artist on stage is alone, but in fact, if there wasn't a team of 30 people putting the artist on stage, it wouldn't probably work. And it's the same in IT. There are teams here, obviously. And we both are expected to continuously learn because, well, I suppose because of the quickly changing trends and technology as well. But there are some differences between those industries. And those differences, I think, are quite important in terms of affecting how teams are structured and how teams start even. And one of the biggest difference, I would say, is the market value, because as you can see, the IT market value is like 16 times bigger. And why am I talking about the money? Because this particular aspect, in my opinion, forms the way how teams in music industry are different to teams in the IT industry. You have this Saint 3, or slightly modified, of motivation, like the sense of ownership, mastery, and purpose. If it isn't there, it's kind of hard to be motivated. And in the music industry, the ownership comes from the inside. it's not motivated by the money, because money pretty much isn't there at the beginning. Not only at the beginning as it seems, but that's another story. Mastery is sort of inherent in music. When you pick up an instrument, you practice on an instrument, you get better and better, and this is what drives you to practice on the instrument as well. And the purpose is self-defined. Nobody tells you to form a band. Nobody tells you to pick up the guitar and write the songs. I mean, it sometimes happens. Some parents might know what I'm talking about, but it's rarely working if it's defined from the outside. So usually the purpose for being in the music industry comes from the inside. This is, as I believe, a typical band, typical garage band. There's probably millions of bands like this. And look at this. They are self-originating. So they are usually formed by a leader, and they have some sort of a leadership. They have organic growth because it's only happening from the inside. They have strong feeling of purpose, and they have close relationships. They are self-organizing. They have no manager. All decisions, whether artistic or business related, come from them, from the inside. And they are also managing their own processes, goals, and interactions. And quite accidentally, those cards that I marked are very much stressed by the Agile Manifesto. So most of these things are agile already, and the guys didn't even manage to leave the garage. And most of all, a band in a garage is cross-functional. What I mean by cross-functional isn't exactly CrossFit, although maybe it is, in the sense that CrossFit stresses the importance of being universal. It stresses importance of working on different areas or different aspects of your body. It's not only the strength, it's not only the agility, it's not only the speed, it's all together. And in this sense, artists are cross-functional as well. These are, by the way, the real pictures from my band. So as you can see, we have a rehearsal space with a studio with microphones. So we're recording our own stuff. We're rehearsing in our own space. We are shooting our own videos, and we are releasing our own albums. More albums. We are even taking pictures ourselves. This is a picture taken by me, even though I'm in it. Strange, isn't it? We do our sales. This is the merch we've got. We do promote our stuff, like the t-shirts, and we drive our cars ourselves, and we pack our equipment ourselves. We even repair the bloody cars when they go down, and it's not a funny story, by the way. And we even cook ourselves when we are on the road, and we drink the Jameson thing later. Hell, we even do laundry ourselves. So as you can see, we are pretty cross-functional in music industry. This is a little bit more serious example, but actually, when you think of it, artists are like special forces. That's a bold statement. But in those special forces, everyone has responsibility of driving the team towards the purpose. It's not like you can leave your team members behind, or I don't know, if you're a sniper and someone is wounded, you wouldn't say like, oh, I'm not a medic, I'm not gonna take care of my fellow soldier. I'll just leave him behind. You don't do that. Also, when you're a medic and if you need to communicate over the radio, you won't say, I'm not a radio operator, I'm not going to use the radio. You do that. You do that because the mission success depends on it. Not only the mission success, actually the lives of your colleagues, friends depend on it. Well, it's not that dramatic in the music business. It's not like lives of people depend on the stuff. But if you want to succeed as a band, as a team in the music business, you can't just say, sorry, I'm not going to, I'm just playing the drums. Don't ask me to drive the car. I mean, you don't have to drive a car, but then you will stay at home with your drums forever. And the example of special forces actually comes from John Sutherland, the guy behind the Scrum. And he used to be in the military, and that's what he wrote about special forces. Look at that. It was a weapon as revolutionary as the invention of the tank or the airplane. It wasn't a new gizmo or unmanned drone. It was called collaborative warfare. It involved using cross-functional teams from across the entire US government that had all the skills necessary to get the job done. So they basically used cross-functional teams in the US Army and the US government to take care of one of the many wars the US is fighting. So although those guys may look pretty harmless and pretty naive, perhaps, don't underestimate them. They can be pretty efficient team, and their levels of autonomy, motivation, sense of purpose, and fulfillment are through the roof. And there are actually some artists who manage to make it big from the garages. Yeah, that one is quite famous. They actually started in a garage. This is Paramore, and they started as a bunch of teenagers playing in a band themselves, and they're hugely successful. There's Pearl Jam, again, a garage story or a shed, and there still remain to this day a very independent band and very independent team. I would say cross-functional. They sometimes even swap the instruments on stage. So they are bands like this. So these are the takeaways for the first part. Basically, I would like to point to the fact that music and the IT have lots of similarities. One of the biggest difference, though, is the budget, which inherently makes the teams in music business self-originating, self-organized, with a strong sense of purpose, mastery, and autonomy. And it inherently makes them cross-functional. Yes, now I have a question to you. What other differences are there between the IT industry and music industry? Agile Spot just posted the link to the query or inquiry. So please let us know in your answers what other differences do you think there are. And let me just switch to the... We'll see if we have any responses. There might be no differences between IT and music. It might seem that we are the same industry after all. Who knows? What's... Is everything okay with the link?
Something happened. Yeah, I was typing and I cannot. I think you just closed the...
Did I?
Like a second before I clicked send.
All right, excellent. So we know it's
Well,
Yeah, maybe we could. Yeah, there are thoughts about that.
again.
Maybe people can unmute and share
Yes,
thoughts
definitely.
about that.
So since the beautiful voting didn't work, you feel free to share it out loud. You can unmute your mics and just say it aloud or write it in a chat.
I was gonna write level of noise you have changed your, unless you're working in a loud lab, of course.
That's definitely a huge difference, which is actually quite important because it affects your health.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, all right. Let's move
There's also one thing on the chat, size of the audience you usually perform before.
Ah, cool. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I wonder who's who has a bigger audience here, whether it's software developers and their users worldwide, or the bands. But the bands are performing in front of their audience. They have a direct contact with the audience, I suppose. That might be a difference. Cool. Let's move on. Yeah. No, moving on. Okay, here we are. So yeah, we've got more differences. There's the stability in IT and a lack of stability in music. In the sense of financial stability, it's because of the budget as well, but it's also, artists are thought to be, or are rumored to be, unstable individuals. I wonder if that's true. Who knows? There is a short feedback loop. So this is something actually that that Mateusz is mentioning. Like the music industry has a short feedback loop to their customers or their audience. They can directly talk to them. Even Elvis directly talked to fans, as you can see. He was signing an autograph. But today, of course, the Elvis thing is a joke, sort of. Today, artists have a direct contact with their audience on social media and after the concerts and stuff like that. And in the IT organizations, there's usually a huge structure. So the feedback loop is long, or there's little feedback at all. So that's quite a difficult one. In the music industry, there's usually face-to-face setup. If you want to play together, you have to actually meet in person, and the IT, the remote setup is especially now is probably more often, but it's changing, obviously. Now the big question: what could work better in the music industry? But maybe, I don't know. Maybe you'll find some similarities as well. So we definitely need a real value in the music industry. Instead of writing sheet music or music on, like you see the notes on the left-hand side, and putting them into a drawer, we need to actually deliver. We need to actually deliver the real product to affect the real people. And it's actually not an obvious thing, in the sense that many artists forget about it, and many artists focus on themselves so much, and they don't think about the audience and the value of what they do. I would say that we could deliver more regularly in the music business. It's actually required nowadays to deliver at regular intervals if you want to be successful, and I will talk about it later. And artists definitely have problem with that because of the unpredictable character of their work, I would say. There's definitely need for self-reflection, in the artistic world there can be big egos, and it's kind of hard to sometimes to self reflect and to admit that some things might have been done better, I suppose. And again, remember about the audience. This situation, playing for the empty room, actually happens, or can happen. And if you don't remember about the fact that you actually should care about the audience. So takeaways number 2. What else is different? Lack of stability, short feedback loops, and face-to-face communication in music business. Obviously, more stability in the IT, longer feedback loops, and remote communications. Think of it what you want, whether they are good things or bad. What could work better? We need to deliver real value at regular intervals. We need to be self-reflective, and we need to focus on the audience. And I'm talking about the music industry all the time. Now, there's some time for the real case study. I labeled it Kanban in quotation marks because it's not exactly Kanban thing, but it sort of reminds it in the sense that it visualizes the work. As you can see, there's in columns you have particular tracks to record. In rows you have particular songs, and it is the sort of the visualization that Foo Fighters, the rock band, uses during recording their albums. So while it might not exactly be Kanban, it's something similar. I would like to tell you about this retrospective that we had with the band Ixe. By the way, I very much recommend you the band if you like sort of folkish alternative stuff. They come from Katowice and they're absolutely fabulous. And we had this retrospective in which it's a simple idea for retrospective, like you have a timeline of the last sprint. We didn't even call it a sprint, by the way. And you just put stuff in there, what happened, and then you vote for the things that require some conversation. And the eyes icons are the votes. I wonder what the votes were, but I remember that we voted with the eyes. So it's just one of the many ideas for retrospectives that there are out there, but we use this particular one with Ixe. So the retrospectives are, whether they are formalized like that or whether they happen spontaneously, for example, after a show where a band talks about the show. Was it a good one? Did someone do something stupid, or what was the audience like, etc. So these are like micro retrospectives, but this one was a regular one. So bands, artists use them. Now there's a recording of. I will share the link with you or you can find it on YouTube. How the Rolling in the Deep by Adele was recorded and produced. The guy here is the producer for the song, and what he's basically saying in the video is that, oh, please don't play the video, although it's quite interesting to watch. I encourage you to do it. But what I picked up from the video was this. They basically prototyped the song before they actually recorded the final version. And so the demo track was recorded, and then they changed, these are the exact words, they changed as little as possible without a good reason. So the vocal track from the demo was left intact in the final version. It is the same track as in the demo version. The drums were re-recorded for some reason. The piano track from the demo was left intact. Again, it's a funny story because it's the piano was recorded on a cheap electronic instrument. Well, cheap, maybe not cheap, but electronic instrument. And instead of recording it with a grand piano in a really expensive studio, they just left the track. It was good enough. It was good enough. if it's good enough for Adele, I suppose it's good enough for many musicians. And the intro and the verse guitar, the same story. They recorded the demo version with some sort of a cheap setup, but it was good enough. They didn't change it. They left it in the song. You may watch the whole video. There's more stuff like that there, and it's quite interesting because it's basically like following the lean mindset. You don't do things if they're good enough. Why change something if it's working? So the things don't need to be perfect. Again, they just need to be good enough. There's a more local example of Daria ze Śląska. I happen to know the girl and her production team. So basically what they do, I wanted to talk about the reviews and iterations that they do. Basically, anytime they record a song, before they actually publish it, they do some sort of arrangement at home. Then they listen to the song. This is Daria and her, I don't even know how to call. I would say she's a producer for Daria, but she's much more than a producer. Some sort of a guide, Agata Trafalska. She writes parts of the lyrics with Daria, and she basically decides on the artistic direction in which she should go. So after recording the first versions, they listen to it together, and then they invite more and more people, like Cortez, for example, here, to listen to the song and to cooperate on the song and introduce some changes. And only at the end, they review it in the whole team. This is the guy here is he used to be. He's no longer the CEO of the label which releases Daria's albums. So basically what they do is to review the song each time and introduce necessary changes. And I have an example of such a record. We can shortly give it a short listen. I hope you'll hear the sound because the difference is dramatic. So this is the first draft using a piano recorded on some sort of a recorder, probably a phone or something.
Druga w nocy mija, czy to wieczność, czy to
I can't lower the volume somehow.
Byłam pewna, że mi sprzyjasz, jednak to, co dobre mówią, zawsze szybko mija.
So basically, this is a very humble recording with just one instrument. There's a version in GarageBand.
Wcale nie te radosne jak z wakacji. Jak już to
Very simple as well. There's some version with a draft of arrangements.
smutny finał, to co dobre mówią, zawsze przecież szybko mija.
Excellent. Sorry about that.
Tak jak tobie w życiu nie wierzyła. Nie wierzyła.
So something is happening, and this is the final version.
Mówią zawsze szybko mija. Szybko mija. Chyba właśnie mi odbija, bo nikomu tak jak to.
So it's basically to show that the versions in those 4 iterations, I'm not sure if there were more iterations between, probably there were, but I've got those 4 recordings. As you can see, the first draft was very simple with just one instrument and recorded in a not exactly great quality, and then the final version is something, well, it's the same song, but for some reason it's totally different. So this is something which is not even thought about by musicians. This is the normal way that the songs are produced. You basically do some version of it, then you listen to it, whether you listen with the stakeholders or you do it alone. You just introduce some changes until you're happy with the product. What could be better is definitely the good enough attitude. If artists are really perfectionists, I think programmers are perfectionists as well. And so it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just enough for it to be good enough. And in this sense, if you review a product, if you review an iteration with outside reviewers or stakeholders or your friends or anyone, it's much easier to get this feedback and to know whether the product is ready or not. Because in your head, it can still be incomplete, but in the audience heads, it can be quite ready. I wanted to show you, maybe before that one, I will show you the next one, because we're actually running out of time. And this one regards frequent deliveries. Those charts down there are the statistics of plays and playlist saves on Spotify from the artist called Muzaman. And basically this one shows year 2022, when he made 4 releases. And what you can see here, I hope, is that the peaks here are the moments of the releases, and the peaks are quite low. In fact, they reach only 80, almost 80 people. This one probably 50 or 60, and then those two are under 40 actually. And so these were 4 releases, and look what's happening with 12 releases. The chart looks quite similar, but the scale is hugely different. There's 1,000 people here, so the peaks, the biggest peak is at 1,000 people, and the smallest one are 250, probably something slightly above 500, etc. You can see the peaks correlating to the dates of releases. There were 12 releases in 2023. And you can see the peaks here all over the place. So basically, this is a case for what Muzaman says about it is that it worked really well in terms of getting to the audience. Also, he says that he wouldn't be able to do it again, that it was so strenuous to keep up with the tempo of releasing a song once a month that it wasn't really sustainable, because he's just a single person. So it would be really, really strenuous to work without a team. And that's the case for that, I suppose. And also a case for the fact that we need to release quite frequently. And this one we probably won't have time to go through in details. Although I particularly like this one because it's my own idea of how to translate the big visions and big dreams. That's why it's called Wheel of Dreams, into particular goals. Sorry, I need to refresh it. Right. So have a look at that. Just the broad view. This is quite clumsily drawn circle. And what is important about it is that it's got 5 different areas, like life area, this brand area, discography, publishing, and meta area. I won't explain what they mean exactly, but the idea is to be able to provide sustainable growth, meaning taking care of each of those areas in an equal way. As you can see here, there's probably too much stress on the life area. There's quite a few cards in here, stickies, and there's quite a few of the stickies in the brand area, but discography, publishing, and meta lacks work. So this is a way to make sure that all of those important areas which you identify as the crucial to what you want to achieve are taken care of. And another, each of the sticky, by the way, represents a goal, but the goals are very broad here. Look at this. One of those goals were like, we should do something in Poland. That's quite a broad goal. Oh, we should do something in Germany. How about that? It's got a question mark. And the closer it gets to the middle of the circle, it gets much more specific. Okay, let's do a tour in Germany, and let's perhaps aim at having 70 to 100 people on the concerts in Poland. Okay, we won't be able to do a tour in Germany. Let's play a support, like an opening act before some well-known band, etc., etc. There's the closer to the middle, the more specific it gets. So this is the idea of obviously, you know, the stickies right to the middle should be smart goals, should be well defined, specific, measurable, etc. But the goals at the outer parts of the wheel can be as broad as they get. So this, we have a vision here, which is very broad and very unspecific. There's a mission, which is let's say regarded in terms of 1-2 years plans, and there are goals, which are the goals for everyday work. And there's another one that's a simple roadmap actually, but it's quite different from the roadmaps on Jira, for example. Pay attention to the lower tab and to the fact that these are months, but they aren't all of them. I mean, we don't have November here, for example, because nothing was happening in November, so why have it on the scale? And also, they are not in the even distance. This is very, very loosely formed roadmap, and it's changing all the time. We don't even put, sometimes we put a specific deadline. For example, here, the crowdfunding stop was at the end of April. But if we are not required, if the deadline is negotiable, we don't even put a deadline because we know that it's going to change anyway. So instead of updating each and every task with a new deadline, we just say, yeah, of course it's going to change. This is how it works. This is basically, we have to adapt. We have to see what changed and how we can put it on the roadmap as well. Also, notice the fact that we still have some items here, and they don't even specify the year when they're going to happen. And by the way, this roadmap corresponds to the Wheel of Dreams in a sense that the further to the right, the less specifics the goals are. We can put our visions here. We can put our mission here. And here we put our goals, which are supposed to be achieved this year, achieved or followed, because not always we're able to achieve it, and it's okay. It's you can basically change the roadmap whenever there's a necessity to do so. So these two ideas are especially helpful in planning the work. So basically, you plan things, but you allow a possibility, and you're actually not allow a possibility. when you start planning, you're actually sure that the roadmap will change. It's as certain as taxes and dying. And this kind of attitude is, in my opinion, agile. And I wonder if that could work in a bigger setup, like a corporate setup. I'm not sure. Maybe you're brave enough to try out. So I'd like to have a short conversation on. I mean, we can smoothly go into the question section, and we can turn it into a conversation. What ideas could work in your setup? What ideas could work in your teams, in your departments, etc.? That's the question.